Hi, so I'm Cheryl. I'm Director of Ecosystem at the CNCF. The CNCF created this End User Award to recognize the value that end users bring to the cloud-native ecosystem. End users share their real-world successes and failures. They collaborate on best practices, and they directly contribute to many of the CNCF projects. I manage the CNCF end user community, which has companies from finance, healthcare, retail, and much, much more. And last year, the CNCF end user community awarded the End User Award to Bloomberg and JD.com. And based on their usage, impact, and contributions to the community, I'm very pleased to announce that the 2019 winner is Intuit. So please welcome Ed, who will say a few words on behalf of Intuit.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm not sure which hand to hold which, but I'm very happy to be here, and very pleased to receive the CNCF End User Award for Intuit. Intuit has been an enthusiastic user and contributor via the Argo project to the cloud-native ecosystem, Kubernetes in particular. We started our Kubernetes journey about early last year when we joined the CNCF end user community. And as a member of the community, we've been able to quickly learn as well as share our own experiences with other members, other end users in the community. And perhaps more importantly, it's really significantly increased the visibility and kind of engagement of the entire company with the open source community, all the way from senior management down to individual developers. So today, developers at Intuit are far more engaged with the open source community than they've ever been in the past. And we are active participants in the CNCF Technical Oversight Committee, as well as the End User Developer Experience SIG. So this graph essentially shows kind of a history of Kubernetes adoption at Intuit. And you could see, about the same time last year, we had 0 applications running on Kubernetes. There were a few individual developers experimenting with Kubernetes clusters. But basically, we were not using Kubernetes for any production purpose. And today, we have well over 100 Kubernetes clusters in production, over 2,500 applications running on Kubernetes. And you can see there, around the end of last year, there was a big increase in Kubernetes adoption that corresponded to a company-wide hackathon where prizes were offered for taking your project to production within a month of the hackathon. And they were not required to use Kubernetes. They could use whatever they wanted. But a large number of teams chose to use Kubernetes as the fastest way to get their applications into production. In order to achieve kind of this level of adoption, we had to kind of integrate create a complete ecosystem, development ecosystem for our developers, which required integrating dozens and dozens of tools. At this point, it may be like 80 different tools and services that our development teams use on a day-to-day basis in a seamless and Kubernetes native way into our product. And arguably, just as important as adoption and developer experience is security. And so one of the things we decided to do there is to separate applications with different security and compliance requirements, as well as applications that need access to sensitive data into separate clusters. And this is kind of the main reason why we have over 100 clusters today, in order to create these kind of nice containment zones. In order to manage all of these clusters, we had to create an infrastructure which we called the Intuit Kubernetes System Manager, or IKSM for short, which basically not only manages the life cycle of each Kubernetes cluster, but access to the cluster, as well as access to cloud provider accounts, and also all of the security and compliance policies that's configured for each cluster. Using IKSM, we're actually able to upgrade all of our clusters every 2 to 4 weeks as new security patches come out, and we continue to roll out new features for the cluster. Of course, clusters provide a really clean kind of isolation boundary between applications, but it'd be completely impractical to create a new cluster for every single application. So as a result, we've also had to handle some of the security and multi-tenancy issues in each cluster. So right from the beginning, we decided not to give developers access to a complete cluster. A complete Kubernetes cluster is really too much for most application teams to manage on a day-to-day basis. So we decided to give application teams only access to managed namespaces. The namespaces are isolated by default. They can't talk to each other or anything. And they come pre-configured with a lot of security and compliance policies baked in. Not only security policies, but they also come pre-configured with access privileges for all of the services and resources that each application needs. So this means that application developers don't have to worry about managing or rotating access keys or certificates. As long as they're running their application in their designated namespaces, they automatically get access to all the services they need to run that particular application. And our development teams really love this. More for the things they don't have to do than they do. And interestingly, our security teams really love this as well. It's not common that developers and security both really like something. But the security teams really like it because you could bake in all of the security and compliance policies into the infrastructure, where it's automatically enforced rather than having to work with each individual development team separately. At this point, a lot of developers view IKSM, which also manages the namespaces, like a big automated vending machine for namespaces. So they just go there when they need to develop a new application. They get everything they need. They deploy their applications very quickly and effortlessly. So at this point, the Kubernetes adoption at Intuit has been a huge success. Its adoption has been much faster than we anticipated. And joining the CNCF as an end user member has really accelerated that process. So if you're an end user and you're still kind of sitting on the fence, you're wondering whether you should join or not, I would highly recommend it. I think a really good way to get your feet wet is to start attending the monthly CNCF end user meetings. But from where I'm standing, the water is fine, so jump right in. Don't hesitate. Thank you.